Esther's story is a powerful reminder that bravery, faith, and purpose can change everything. It shows how one woman, placed in the right position at the right time, saved an entire nation, not with weapons or armies, but with wisdom, courage, and trust in God. Please subscribe to our channel for more inspiring Bible stories. Once upon a time, in the vast and beautiful land of Persia, there lived a mighty king named Xerxes. He ruled over one of the greatest empires the world had ever seen, stretching from India in the east to Ethiopia in the west. He was powerful, wealthy, and proud. One day, King Xerxes decided to throw a grand royal feast. This wasn't just a simple celebration, it lasted for 180 days, showcasing the full glory of his kingdom. After that, he held another feast for 7 more days for the people of his capital city, Susa. The palace was filled with golden cups, colorful drapes, music, dancing, fountains of wine, and luxurious food. During this great feast, King Xerxes, in high spirits from drinking wine, called for Queen Vashti. He wanted her to come and display her beauty before all his guests. But Queen Vashti refused. She would not appear before a room full of drunken men just to be admired. Her bold refusal shocked the entire court. The king was furious. His pride was wounded. After consulting with his advisors, he issued a decree: Queen Vashti was to be removed from her position. She would no longer be queen, and her royal crown was taken away. Later, the king's anger calmed, and he began to miss Vashti. But the law was already made. His advisors suggested a solution: let a search be made throughout the empire for the most beautiful young women. They would be brought to the palace, pampered, and prepared, and from among them, the king would choose a new queen. And so it began. Across the land, young women were taken and brought to the royal palace. Among them was a Jewish girl named Esther. She was gentle, wise, and stunningly beautiful. But Esther had a hidden story. She had lost her parents as a young child and was raised by her older cousin, Mordecai, a kind and faithful man who loved her like a daughter. Mordecai told her not to reveal that she was Jewish, and Esther obeyed him, just as she always had. Esther spent a full year in the palace receiving beauty treatments, 6 months with oil of myrrh, and 6 more with perfumes and cosmetics. But it wasn't just her appearance that set her apart, it was her humble spirit. Isn't it amazing how God can use someone the world doesn't expect? Esther didn't come from royalty, but she had a heart ready for the task ahead. When her turn came to meet King Xerxes, Esther made no grand requests. She simply came as she was, and the king was taken by her grace. He placed the royal crown on her head and made her queen of Persia. Not long after Esther became queen, Mordecai overheard a plot at the palace gates. 2 guards were planning to assassinate the king. Mordecai quickly told Esther, who informed the king, and the plot was stopped. The names of the traitors were recorded, and Mordecai's loyalty was written in the royal records. Then came a man named Haman. The king promoted him above all the other nobles. Haman loved power, and he expected everyone to bow before him. But Mordecai refused. He would only bow to God. This made Haman furious. When he learned that Mordecai was Jewish, his anger turned into hatred. He plotted not only to destroy Mordecai, but to wipe out all the Jews in the empire. Haman went to the king with lies, claiming that the Jews disobeyed the king's laws. He asked permission to destroy them all and even offered silver in exchange. The king, not knowing who the people were, agreed and gave Haman full authority. Letters were sent across the empire declaring that on a set day, every Jew, young and old, would be killed. Imagine receiving such a message. Fear, confusion, grief. The people had no army, no protection, only prayer and hope. When Mordecai heard the decree, he tore his clothes and cried in the streets. He sent word to Esther, begging her to go to the king and plead for her people. But Esther was afraid. "No one may approach the king unless summoned," she said. "If I go without being called, I could die." Then came Mordecai's unforgettable message. "Do not think you will escape in the palace. If you remain silent, help may come from somewhere else. But who knows, perhaps you were made queen for such a time as this." Esther was moved. She asked the Jews to fast and pray with her for 3 days. Then, she would go to the king. "If I perish," she said, "I perish." What courage! What faith! Esther's strength came not from power, but from knowing her people needed her, and that God was with her. After 3 days, Esther dressed in her royal robes and entered the inner court. The king saw her. His heart was moved, and he extended his golden scepter to her, an invitation to speak. "What is your request, Queen Esther?" he asked. "Even up to half my kingdom, it shall be yours." Esther simply invited him, and Haman, to a banquet. And then, a second banquet the next day. That night, the king couldn't sleep. He asked for the royal records to be read. He was reminded of Mordecai, the man who saved his life, and realized Mordecai had never been honored. The next day, Haman came to ask permission to execute Mordecai. But before he could speak, the king asked him, what should be done for the man the king delights to honor? Haman, thinking the king meant him, suggested a parade through the city in royal robes on the king's horse. "Excellent," said the king. "Go and do this for Mordecai." Oh, how the tables turned. Haman had to honor the very man he wanted to destroy. God has a way of reversing what the enemy meant for harm. At the second banquet, the king asked Esther again what she desired. This time, she answered, "If I have found favor in your sight, O king, spare my life, and the lives of my people. For we have been sold to be destroyed." "Who would do such a thing?" the king asked in shock. Esther turned and said, "This wicked man, Haman." The king, enraged, left the room. Haman fell to his knees, begging Esther. But when the king returned and saw him near her, he was furious. One of the servants revealed that Haman had built a gallows to hang Mordecai. "Hang him on it," the king commanded. And so Haman was executed on the very gallows he built for another. Pride leads to destruction, but justice always rises in the end. The danger wasn't over yet. The law to destroy the Jews still stood. So once more, Esther went to the king and pleaded. The king allowed her and Mordecai to issue a new decree. The new law gave the Jews the right to defend themselves. On the day of the attack, the Jews stood united. And they were victorious. Joy and celebration spread through the land. Mordecai was given Haman's position. Esther was honored and beloved. And to remember their great deliverance, the Jews established a new festival, Purim. A celebration of survival, of hope, and of divine intervention. Esther and Mordecai continued to lead with wisdom and strength. Their story remains a legacy of courage, faith, and standing for truth. Thank you for listening to the story of Esther. If this story inspired you, please like, comment, and subscribe for more Bible stories each week.